All right, good morning, everyone. JT Siskowski for Status Coup. I am here outside of the Broadview ICE detention facility in Broadview, Illinois. Directly behind the camera, there is a group of, well, one time it was 50 protesters, but it's been growing the entire time we've been setting up here for this live shot. Some breaking news to bring you here in just the last few minutes pertaining to this spot right where I am standing. Or rather, I guess that building just down the street from where I am standing, the ICE detention facility, is that a class action lawsuit was just filed today that alleges unsafe and unsanitary conditions inside of that facility where people are being made to stay. We're trying to bring you details on that lawsuit as this live broadcast continues, but for right now, the reason that we wanted to have this live broadcast was to interview Demi. Demi, I wanted to have you start just by introducing yourself. Tell folks who you are.
Yeah, I'm Demi Palachek. I'm the 46th Ward Democratic President. I'm an activist, community organizer, but I'm also in the Army National Guard.
The National Guard being particularly relevant right now because President Donald Trump has said that he has tried to put troops on the ground here in Chicago. The courts are currently blocking him. What was your reaction when the president came out with that order trying to federalize the Illinois National Guard and put troops on the ground here?
Immediately, in my head, I said, I'm not doing it, and absolutely not, and how can we stop this and stand up to him? Currently, only 2 of us in the National Guard have stood up to him, especially on record. We get a ton of messages saying thank you from other soldiers or phone calls, but still right now it's just us 2 saying no, and we won't do it.
Right. So you're saying that you would refuse an order to deploy to Chicago streets. I imagine that that is not something easily done. Can you walk me through the thought process that came to saying, I will not follow this direct order if it involves me acting as like an authoritarian, helping carry out an authoritarian agenda? What was the thought process going through your mind?
Well, I'm Mexican, and, my mom was undocumented. A lot of my family is undocumented, and been trying to go through the process for 15, 20 years and $30,000, $40,000, and there's no pathway. So we haven't made it easy for anyone, and then to discriminate, blatantly discriminating against people, it's all wrong. And, I remember being little in class learning about Germany in the 1930s and 1940s, and I was like, I would stand up for them. And I feel like we are in the same spot now, and I have to speak out.
So what was it about this particular deployment? Because let's get maybe a little bit of background. How long have you been in the Guard?
I've been in for 14 years. I've mostly been stateside. I work with nuclear weapons or other things like that. But I was activated to January 6th.
You were? Okay, well, so can you maybe describe how you felt that activation was different from what the Trump administration is trying to do now?
Yeah, we are peacefully protesting here, and Chicago, crime is down. So everything that you hear negative about Chicago isn't true. So, if you look around, everyone's singing, knitting, holding hands, and dancing. And January 6th was not like that at all. They were scaling a wall. They were beating up police officers. So it's just very hypocritical.
Potentially refusing a direct order is a serious business. Depending on the context of when you would do that, you could face some real consequences for that. Are you prepared to face court-martial if it came to that?
Since this administration has taken over, we have lost our sexual harassment protections in the military. We have lost equal opportunity. We are going back to don't ask, don't tell. We are losing a lot of minority and African-American protections. And he kicked out all of my trans soldiers. So if standing up for the right thing right now gets me in trouble, so be it.
If standing up for the right thing gets her in trouble, she's prepared to do it. It's just the act of standing up for the common good is now seen as a revolutionary act in America. I think is a pretty, stark reminder of where we are at as a country in this moment, as if we needed it. I suppose it's on our TVs every single day with everything that this administration is doing in this moment. I wanted to get your reaction to some quotes that the president has delivered here just in recent days pertaining to deployment of the military on America's streets. So the first is, quote, this is President Trump speaking, quote, if I want to enact a certain act, I'm allowed to do it, referring to presumably the Insurrection Act. I'd be allowed to do whatever I want, and the courts wouldn't get involved. Nobody would get involved. I can send the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. I can send anybody I wanted. When you hear that from the leader of what is supposed to be the free world, what's your reaction as somebody who is currently serving?
Unfortunately, he's not wrong. No one is standing up to him. I am constantly like, where's Congress? Hello. What are we doing? It's terrifying, but he's not wrong. No one will stand up to him.
His second quote that I wanted to get you reacting to is, quote, "People don't care if we send in our military, if we send in our National Guard, if we send in Space Command. If we need more than the National Guard, we'll send more than the National Guard. And whether people like that or not, that's what we're doing." Is the president right when he says that people don't care if we send in the military to American streets?
I think people very much do care. No one out here wants troops in our streets. You know, I'm door knocking, running for state rep, and that is the number one thing I hear is I do not want soldiers here. You know, and it's eroding the trust between National Guard and the community. We're here for humanitarian issues, to take care of the community, not to terrorize our own neighbors. And if people actually do want them, then send them to that area. But that's not Chicago. That's why we're literally here. That's why we're fighting ICE in the streets, having whistle parties. I mean, you send them where people actually want them, because it's not here.
Yeah, can you explain the concept of a whistle party for people who aren't living in Chicago right now?
Absolutely. So I hope everyone knows, but I do know that they have also, the right side has also bought a lot of media, so they aren't seeing what's actually happening. ICE is literally just grabbing people and taking them, not asking questions. There is no due process. So when a community member sees that, we have usually whistles around our neck or on our keychain, and you start blowing it, and everyone knows to come help. So to come try and get the person away from ICE agents. People are being thrown, run over. It's really violent. And, you know, ICE is not trained on anything. They are grabbing the bottom of the barrel people with no morals, and who use violence on veterans, senior citizens, and children.
Just to underscore what Demi is saying there, it's not hyperbole. We have seen protesters out here at Broadview been hit with federal vehicles just in the act of attempting to protest what this administration is doing here in the Chicagoland area. So again, not hyperbole. How do you feel about your service in this moment? With the Trump administration putting troops on the ground, I mean, I imagine this is something very different than what you signed up to do. So how are you feeling about your decision to serve in this moment?
Yeah, I feel like I have to have like a warning label when I talk to people. You know, my literature running for state rep, it says I am a National Guard's member. And then I have to be like, but I said no. You know what I mean? And people then are like, okay, thank you. I feel safe with you. You know, out here, I was hit pretty hard a couple weeks ago just for sitting here and peacefully protesting. And to see all the ICE agents in my uniform, that was jarring. I could literally hear my heartbeat. And I thought I was going to throw up, and how they handled us. I'm like, that's my uniform, and that's not what that's for. So it really mind-boggled me.
Yeah, you're making reference there to the fact that this is not your first time out here protesting. When did you first start coming out here to Broadview to protest what the administration is doing here? And why did you feel compelled that you needed to be here?
Probably 2 months ago. I've been out here every Friday, sometimes Saturday. Because the initial idea that was happening was that if we could stop the cars from leaving with detainees, because we have no idea where they're going. There's about 2,000 people who are just gone. So if we could stop them, or at least, you know, kind of mitigate it for a little bit and then get their information, it could help, and we could tell the families. Because, you know, little kids would come up and knock on the door and be like, do you have my dad? They were like 8 years old looking for their family. And so trying to help them. So we've been out here the whole time. And Kat Abigazale, actually running for Congress, is the one who was like, hey, this is happening. What do you think? And we were both like, let's go. Let's see how we can help. And so every week we've just been here, boots on the ground, trying to help people find their families.
what's to be gained from being out here? You know, like I feel like there's some days, you know, it really seems like a grab bag when you're out here. Like some days there's going to be a lot of people, some days there's not going to be a lot, and I really feel like the mood of the protesters kind of swings by the day as well. About, you know, you're describing a time when the protesters were right there up next to the building. Now they're down the street here. What is the value in being out and protesting in this moment? What is to be gained?
I think right now it puts pressure on the administration. I think also we're seeing the lack of transparency of different police departments working with ICE, or at least protecting them. And, you know, honestly, a lot of the clergy and other groups have been here for 10 years. They do this every Friday. It's a symbolic thing to pray for people inside and help them. As there's more people inside is how we kind of grew to have more people. But yeah, I mean, it's just to try and get people inside or help or get any resources inside, which are always blocked. So at this point, I think we're going to need to re-strategize.
Understood. So we'll get a little bit more into what the future of resistance against what the Trump administration is doing here in Chicago in just a minute. But I did still want to talk a little bit more about your service. So in the National Guard, trained for a lot of different missions, I imagine. You've only been activated for January 6th. But can you talk a little bit about what you're trained to do? And specifically, are you trained to assist with immigration matters?
No one is trained on immigration matters. And only a small percentage, very small percentage, is trained on police matters or riot. You would be an MP or something like that. I originally started as an MP, but I've gone through supply, aviation, broadcasting, journalism, and now I am a combat transportation operator, which is basically a fancy word for truck driver. And, you know, the jobs in the military could be firefighter, cook service, you know, drug testing. So no, it's a very small percentage of who should be out here arresting people and dealing with the public like that.
You say like even a very small percentage who are even trained, you know, to be in a policing role. Obviously, you have some personal reservations about just following this administration's orders. Should any member of the National Guard be used to support this mission? From what you've seen on the ground here, is there a need for any troops whatsoever?
No, there is no need for troops here. And, you know, the president keeps wanting to have this, like, narrative that Chicago is so dangerous. If it's so dangerous, please get your business out of here then.
Are you encouraging behind the scenes any of your fellow Guard members to resist in the same way that you are?
I would like them to, but I do know the difficult situation that a lot of people are in. A lot of people don't have jobs right now. A lot of people have used the military to get papers or to get out of poverty. That's how I joined the military, was my pathway out of poverty. So I think that it's a lot of pressure, but I would love for them to stand with me. But I do understand the implications. But at the end of the day, did we forgive Nazis for just taking an order?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a stark, like, historical comparison that you're making right there. I imagine that for you, it might be, I don't want to say that it's easy for you to come out and, like, make this decision that you are going to disobey an order if you get it, because those consequences are so severe. But because you're running for office here in the Chicagoland area, where this mission is certainly not popular, let me just tell you, from talking to folks here on the ground, it is near unanimous that people do not support what the Trump administration is doing here in the Chicagoland area. You at least there's the upside for you of running for office, that this is, I anticipate, going to be a net benefit for you politically. For the other Guard members, are there any who are telling you, hey, I want to be able to do what you just did, I just feel like I can't? Like, how much resistance is there within the Illinois Guard from people that you are talking to what this administration is doing?
My soldiers and messages I get every day are, thank you, I can't, I'm scared, I have a family, we're waiting on papers to come through, whatever the case may be, but thank you. So Guard members are supportive. Who is not supportive is random men who have never been able to join the military or never did it. and they're like just so angry. It's always the right side, right? But
Can you walk us through some of that pushback that you've gotten from outside the military?
yeah, I'm actually going to make a post about it today of all the screenshots of all of the negativity. It's crazy what they say or the threats that they make. You know, from the side that's against political violence. Yeah, it's daily. Or I'll get voice memos, or, you know, my campaign page, you can, you know, apply to volunteer, and it'll just be inundated with, like, threats. So.
Any death threats? Like, can you characterize what these threats are?
Mainly, you know, they're men, so they're like, you're ugly or fat, but some are death threats. Yeah, like, I don't deserve to live. I should be court-martialed. I'm a traitor. I can't say that much because I know we're live. But it's on that other side of violence for sure. Understood.
So have you got, you say that a lot of it, like, I think you nearly painted with a universal brush that the pushback is coming from outside of the armed forces, from just people. It seems like mostly on, like, social media, it seems. Are you getting any pushback from within the Guard for taking this stance?
They would like if I would be quiet, for sure. I did, I'm pretty sure I lost my clearance and then, had to sign a couple counselings the other day. And had signed a couple counselings. So basically it's like a paper trail, to get that started. So I know where that's going. That's fine. Because I will always remember who was on the right side of history.
I get that we're getting into like, you know, some sensitive areas here. But can you talk about, when you say, like, I know where that's going, can you characterize for us at all? Like, what do you mean by where that's going?
Usually if they want you to put something in writing, or, you know, any job, wants you to put something in writing, that means that they're trying to create a case of they can get you in trouble for, right? So that's where I assume that is all going. So. Understood. I wanted us to turn to this topic of leadership in this moment, what it looks for. We've talked a little bit about the fact that you are running for office right now. You've already said it in this interview, but can I get you to just restate it? What office are you running for and why? I'm running for 13th District State Rep, so it starts in Wrigleyville, goes up to Uptown, Andersonville, Edgewater. I'm running because we need leadership. You know, I feel like we're very divided in the party. I don't feel like I have a place in the party. And I'm just so sick of what's going on. You know, I help write legislation if it's for veterans or gun violence prevention or just working families. And I'm so sick of legislation of, like, wear red on Wednesdays. It's like, I'm working class. I've worked since I was 14 to help my family. Where is the relief? You know, I know what it's like to be like, am I going to pay rent or am I going to be able to go to the grocery store? And in the best country in the world, why is that still continuing? Why do we not have health care? I have so many questions, and I'm just so sick of what's going on. And I am a Mexican woman. I'm running the most diverse area in the state, and it's beautiful. And we need people who actually show up for them. I've always been in the community. I do a lot of mutual aid. I don't really have family anymore, and so my district is my family, and they feel they're just left out to dry.
I noticed that you immediately turned to framing things in an economic lens about, you know, addressing affordability, things like that, rather than talking about, you know, the federal occupation of the city of Chicago that's happening right now. Your campaign likely predates that. When did the actual ICE mission, Midway Blitz, like, where in your process of running for office did that become like a salient issue?
Before he was even in office, I knew it was going to be bad, because the first time he was in office, at least he had people that he fired that would say no, and it would kind of slow things down. But now it's all yes men. So I knew coming into this, I knew that night that he supposedly won, that it was going to be really bad. My family started taking precautions. Everyone around us had started taking precautions. So ICE has always been top of mind. I didn't know it was going to be this bad, that's for sure. And when I started running for office, a couple of people were like, oh, ICE shouldn't be top tier for you. And I'm like, it is though. And this is why.
So what should leadership look like in this moment? I'm going to ask you about some very specific folks here in a minute, but at least in general, how should leaders be responding to what is happening here in the city of Chicago and in cities across the country? Because I should note, the reason that we are focusing so much on Chicago with our reporting right now is because the way it is being used as a test kitchen for what kind of immigration services are going to be, or immigration tyranny is going to be carried out across the country, right? We've already seen that the chief here of the immigration efforts here, Greg Bavino, who is a member of Border Patrol, has been tapped by the Trump administration to pick commanders for other cities across the country. So it's clear that Chicago's tactics are going to be exported elsewhere. So when you're looking at what's happening in Chicago, how should leaders be responding?
I mean, I've seen leaders out here with me. And, you know, as I said, I was with Kat here, and that's just proven to me that she is in the fight. I've seen Daniel Biss out here. I've seen Alderman Andre Vasquez. Like, that is a leader to me. Like, boots on the ground, like, fighting for what is right. I did talk with Governor Pritzker the other day, and he's in a difficult spot, you know, and the president hates him. And the president hurt the whole state during the pandemic solely because of hate. So I know that he's very cautious, and he's worried about us. He's worried about the state, and he's in a difficult situation, you know.
You say, like, boots on the ground is important. What's to be gained from being here? I mean, you've referenced Kat Abu-Ghazali, who's running for Congress here in the Chicagoland area. She was just charged for some of the protesting that she did out here. That's a lot to put out there, like to ask of a leader in this moment. What is the upside? What is gained? You know, what are we seeing in our leaders who do that, to your mind?
Well, thankfully, Kat, Andre have a pretty good following. Kat has a really good following. But she's able to amplify what's happening, because otherwise no one would know. You know, everything is hidden, I feel. All the violence is hidden. Where I'm originally from, Southern Illinois, they have no idea what's happening here. You know what I mean? Until yesterday, when someone captured a community member that's been in the community for 20 years, then they're like, oh, wait, this is a thing? It's like, yes, we are losing 20 people a day on the streets right now. I don't know. And I feel like if leaders haven't been out here, they don't understand the severity. They don't understand what the community is feeling. And yes, it's sad for everyone, but like, I need you to actually like feel like what the people are feeling.
You were talking a little bit there about Governor Pritzker, about how you feel that he is in a difficult position here. But is he doing enough? I mean, I look out, there's not state police here right now, but at many previous protests, it's been state police who are in effect doing ICE's job for them, much to the frustration of these protesters who have said, we want ICE to be the ones doing the crowd control, because for every officer that's managing crowd control, that's one less officer on the streets of Chicago right now. But in effect, Illinois State Police doing their job for them. You referenced the governor being in a tough position, but is he doing enough?
You know, I think that I get asked this question a lot. Are you going to continue to stay an activist, or are you going to be a politician? Like, because they can't be the same thing. And so that's where I kind of have a difficult struggle and teeter that line, because he has to protect his people at the end of the day, all of the people here, right? But what I would like as an organizer and activist is like, let us go. You know what I mean? And he told me, he's like, I can't do that to me. I can't do that. It's not safe. Like, I don't know what would happen. And I mean, when Kristi Noem was here, like, they were very worried about us, like, because they had joked about lighting us on fire. So he's like, I can't let that happen, you know. But it's a difficult line. I understand what he wants to do and has to do, but also we're here.
But you have asked him to essentially relent on some of the police presence and let the protesters get closer to the building to protest, try and get sand in the machine more than they are able to here?
Yes. So he's worried, in my eyes, let me not speak for him, but he said it's for your protection. So in my head, it's because he knows the second that there's a bad picture, there's a bad video of us against ICE, and it's ICE that's against, like, the aggressors. So they do it on purpose. So they are just looking for one shot to use against us. He knows that the second they do that they will attack, and it'll be 10 times worse. So he's just trying to keep the peace.
I mean, it seems like the Trump administration is looking for excuses to enact violence. In a lot of cases, it seems like the pain is the point, is what I have kept stressing, because the agents here have cameramen following them around, that they've been producing these hot, slick propaganda videos that they put out on social media, some of which has featured some of these protests that have been out here. To me, you know, just looking at it, it seems like if the pain is the point, then isn't the Trump administration gonna create that pain regardless of what the state does? It seems like the Trump administration is already trying to create the pretext for invoking the Insurrection Act without there actually being an insurrection. So does creating the excuse even matter?
I mean, no, it doesn't. I mean, the thing is that there are no rules. There's no laws anymore. Like, he's done what a dictator could do in full force right now, and we are just living in it and trying to resist how we can, and trying to take care of community members how we can. I mean, it's scary. You know what I mean? Like I said, I cannot say this enough. There are no rules for them, and there's insane rules for us, right? The worst thing before was that Obama had a tan suit, and now they're like killing people inside, but that's fine. You know what I mean? There are no rules. So right now, I don't know, my focus is to take care of my community, make sure that they're fed. We did a bunch of Halloween candy bags the other day to bring to the kids who can't leave their homes, and just try and keep everyone's mental health like somewhat afloat right now, because it's not good.
We've talked a little bit here about what the situation is like, but just to walk people through, right around us, there are a bunch of these concrete barriers. Thank you, John, for panning around to show folks what it looks like out here. All of the protesters are being corralled well down the street from the ICE facility, kept off the street by these barricades, and told they have to remain inside these barricades or else they are threatened with arrest from police. And in many cases, some have been arrested by Illinois State Police, by local police here. I'll note that these free speech zones, as the protesters have taken to calling them, implying that free speech does not exist anywhere else in Broadview except for these few hundred or few thousand square feet here on these sidewalks. These are placed here by the actual village of Broadview. When we were talking off camera and setting up this interview, you had some pretty strong language about, and some strong opinions about what is being done out here with the First Amendment rights of people. Can you just kind of give, for folks who weren't part of those conversations, can you walk them through what are your feelings about the way these protesters are kind of being corralled out here?
Yeah, I just never read in the Constitution where protest has a certain time, has a certain area to do it. It's our freedom, and that's what, everyone always says how great of a country we are because all of our freedoms, and we are not free. We are not high up there on the freedom list. And we used to be up there, and then we are no longer allowed to be there. So Broadview protects them, and we're shoved in this playpen over here like kids. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But that's why I am concerned about where we go from here.
So I want to talk about that in just a moment, but you were referencing, used to be up there. We had been talking before this interview started about maybe trying to do this interview a little bit closer to the Broadview detention facility. Do you want to try and get up there now? Are you interested in talking to the police and see if we can?
I mean, yeah, we can ask them.
Yeah, let's do that here real quick. So.
And again, to ask the police if we can go on the closed street is insane.
Right. So, Demi, I'll kind of give you a minute to do that, and I'll vamp to the camera here a little bit. So yeah, Demi's going to come over here and ask police about if we are allowed to get a little bit closer. This is something that she's done before, and the reason that it's important to do this is because when the protesters are so far removed from what is happening out there... Oh, she's getting close here, so we'll listen in.
I didn't do it. It wasn't me.
I don't believe you.
It wasn't me.
Would we be able to go up closer?
For an interview?
What's closer?
Just how far can we keep going?
Just in the barricades. No, you can't go past the barricades.
Okay.
Meaning these
Concrete barricades.
yeah, but then there's like another set beyond. Like, would we be able to go for like a shot?
Before you got there.
What's
Say
that?
what?
They will intercept you before you got there.
Who's
Now, if you can go up there and talk to them and ask them, that's all I can pretty much just ask them if you can or not.
And where are they? They're in the... Is it state police?
Yeah.
Okay.
You can probably ask them and see if they'll let you.
Sure. We can do that.
Okay.
Yeah. Walk down there. Thank you. Yeah, so the protesters have been moved well down the street from being where they originally started, which was right out front of a brick building down there. That's the ICE detention facility here in Broadview. And they've been moved well down the street and now corralled into these little concrete areas, which has created quite a bit of frustrations, as I was saying, for the protesters, because they are not able to actually feel like their voices are being heard in this moment. And they wanted to be closer to be able to. We were told to come down here and try and ask state police about maybe getting a little bit closer for an interview. Yeah. Well, they gave us permission to come and talk to folks down here and see if we could get up closer.
State police, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, let me go down there with you guys so that way.
Thank you. All right. So, I mean, this is kind of an encouraging thing that we're at least able to ask to be able to get down there.
To ask where we can have freedom of speech, totally.
Right. Yeah, it's like the small wins at this point is what we'll take. So, yeah, so the protests, a lot of the protesters so far have been focused kind of on local and state police, because that's who's stepped in between. Oh, we were just trying to do an interview a little bit closer to the building.
Oh, I know they're not probably allowed behind the barricades, but I'm going to make sure, because all media have to stay behind the barricades.
All media
Yeah.
Okay.
All media stays behind barricades, correct?
Yep.
Yes.
Media is not included in moving out of the protest area. There's two designated media areas. One at the far end on the north side, where you can see by the meridian barriers, and also over here to the left.
And that's as close as we'd be able to get. We were looking to set up kind of like the interview with the building in the backdrop, but we're not able to get
You can
like
do it from those two locations.
those two locations.
Or any of the protest area that's over to the east, too.
Okay. All right. Do we have any sort of sense as to how long this is going to be the case out here? I mean,
Or are we going to answer additional questions? I can't provide any information for the federal rule.
understood. Understood. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
Mhm.
Appreciate it. Be safe. Stay
Yep.
warm.
Yeah. All right. Well, it was at least worth asking. All right. So, I mean, when you're, just asking for something as simple as trying to get an interview, trying to talk near a building and being told no, you can't. What are your feelings like when you're turned away just for like, we want to have a conversation on this part of the street rather than on that part? How are you feeling in that moment?
I'm glad you guys were there. I mean, no, it's just so disheartening. Like, this is a right. You close down the street, so you can't close down the street and then put us in a playpen. And then just them working together and protecting that building, that is what is most upsetting, because you should be protecting us and the community if you have papers or a status or not, and then you're there. How many cars is that? Look how many cars that is. Look how much money that is. People are starving. Children can't go to school. People are homeless. And look how much money that is. Like, that's upsetting to me. And then all the people inside, we don't know how many people are inside.
Right, yeah. The reports that we've heard from inside is that it could be as many as 60 people to a cell, forced to sleep, standing up. There's a shortage of menstrual products and other basic hygiene services that are lacking inside that facility. That was the conversation that I was looking to have by getting close. And John, why don't you pan over real quick? There's a black van. We're being ushered out of the street, but there's a black van that is just pulling out of the facility right there. And that's the kind of thing that the protesters want to be able to demonstrate against in this moment, is that in effect, local police, as we just said, we had to go through a bit of a gauntlet there, even to be told, no, we can't talk nearer the building. We had to walk through a gauntlet of talking to 2 local police officers and state police who are up there. And you were just making the point about all of the vehicles and all of the manpower that is out there right now defending this building, staffed by local police officers from here in Broadview and the state, at least. We've also seen county sheriff's deputies as well out here. And it's a significant expenditure of resources to defend the federal government's building out there, and they have their own police forces. We know because we have seen them up close out in the communities of Chicago where they are abducting people right now. So when you see how this money is being spent, both in defense of the federal government and how the federal government is spending it to victimize the people of Chicago, where do you see that this money, all of this, could be better spent to actually help the folks that you are trying to represent out here?
Yeah, I mean, I look at like one officer, and there's probably 24 over there right now. One officer's salary for the day, how many sandwiches that could make for the community. We could literally end our hunger issues. I don't understand how we have money for this, but we have money for nothing else. For kids to go to school, there's no AC or heat in some of the schools. How many people are unhoused? And like, I just don't understand it. It like blows my mind, makes my stomach hurt.
Yeah. This, when you're told, whenever you hear a lot of corporate press asking progressives about their policy goals, but how are you going to pay for it? There's never money for any of those progressive policy goals. There's never money for Medicare for all. There's never money for universal child care. There's never money for any of these programs. And yet, when it comes to repressing free speech and abducting people, the budget is near limitless. It's enraging. It's enraging, certainly to the people who are out here protesting. That's why they want to be out here. I imagine it's why you want to be out here protesting, too. But we were talking about a little bit about how Broadview has responded by continuously restricting this. And we were talking before this interview started about maybe not even having the interview here, because it was kind of this feeling of, well, what's to be gained from being out here. And I know that's a conversation a lot of these protesters are having right now. To your mind, what should the resistance to the Trump administration's actions here in the Chicagoland area look like in this moment? Should it still be out here at Broadview, or should it be elsewhere, and how should it be organized?
I mean, I think it should be more people everywhere. Sometimes when we're out here, we would have 300-400 people. I think we have to keep putting pressure on every single department. This guy's bringing his family who's in their medicine, because the detention center is supposed to be for a day. They're not. They're in there for average of like 40-something days right now. They don't have food. They don't have blankets. They don't have mattresses. We've had reports how thick the air is, that everyone's coughing or throwing up on each other, that there's blood everywhere from people getting sick. Pregnant women are in there, have no medical care. It's just disgusting. This is embarrassing as a country. Yeah. And honestly, it's so embarrassing on the president. Yeah.
You're obviously engaging with this through the electoral system, that you feel like, hey, there's still something to vote for. We've seen that the president, though, in recent days and weeks has signaled, one, a willingness that he could or should serve a third term unconstitutionally, or might be, or is putting 2020 election deniers in key positions of power within his administration as it goes to election confidence and security. Do you remain? Are you an optimist in terms of elections? Will folks even be able to have their voices heard in 2026 and 2028?
Honestly, I don't know, because they also bought the ballot boxes. They bought that company, and then with all of the money and how people fall into AI, some people think he's Captain America with his AI videos. No, I think that the propaganda is so high. I'm scared. I am scared.
You're running for local office. What? So we've talked a lot about local issues out here and state leaders. What about national Democrats in this moment? How should the national opposition party be acting? And to your mind, are they acting sufficiently to defend cities like Chicago that are under federal occupation right now?
Yeah, like I said before, there's just no rules. They can keep suing. I'm helping a couple lawsuits right now. What does that mean, though? What does that do? And then when he's packed all the courts with just his people and demolishing the White House, or anything he wants to do, he's doing. So I don't know how we're supposed to stand up to that. I don't know. I'm pretty hopeless.
Demi, we've talked a long time here. I've kept you for a while. I will let you go. But my last question is just, is there anything that I haven't asked you that you want to add while you have the platform?
Yeah, I mean, please stay connected. Go to DemiForIllinois.com. Follow me on social. I do post about this weekly, other things that we can be doing in the community, fundraising, mutual aid, anything like that, and then fundraising for the campaign as well. So would love to earn some support and new friends and community friends.
Demi, thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it, and thanks for going with us up there to try and get closer to the facility and helping us bring some attention to what's going on out here. We interviewed one person who came out here who described it as a public black site. I think that's a very apt description of what this building is, because we don't know for sure what is happening inside. Every report we're getting is secondhand. And it really just seems like, for the purposes of transparency, that the federal government should be allowing people in, if for nothing else than to at least ensure that people are being treated humanely inside. Thank you for helping bring attention to that and for answering some of the tough questions I put to you there about local Dems and how they're responding in this moment as well. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let you get going.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They didn't let him bring his blanket in.
Yeah, we're just noting that, this is a common scene out here, that folks who either know or are related to somebody inside or are just trying to provide services to people inside will come up, will talk to the police, will have their things looked through. They'll approach the building. Sometimes they're allowed through up to the building. Other times they are not. So what you're seeing here, not unique. This happens. I've seen it most days that we are out here, that someone attempts to approach the building like this and has to go through all of these gauntlets just to find out if their loved one is in the building, and if so, if they're able to get any materials or other resources or information, or even just to let them know that, you know, there are people out here who still love and care about you and know that you're in here and are doing what they can to support the people inside. So this is the protest scene, and if you're just joining us, all right, we are in Broadview, Illinois, outside of the Broadview, Illinois ICE detention facility. This is the current protest scene out here that is inside one of the free speech zones, as the protesters have taken to calling it. We're really curious to see how the protests develop over this weekend. The protest scene had been kind of waning out here over the last few days, but it does seem like it's gotten new life today. You can see here there's probably, around 100 people out here right now demonstrating, which is a high for, we haven't seen this many people out here in maybe a couple of weeks. So it's an interesting development, and one we'll be following tomorrow as well. There's a whole series of protests that are planned to be out here. And I'll note that down here at the end of the street, that's the media staging area. Right now there's two cameras set up over there right now. One is a News Nation camera, and I'm assuming that the other one is local media. But this tends to be what we see, is that local press shows up on Fridays, maybe Saturdays as well, and then is gone the rest of the week. We have been out here nearly daily bringing attention to what is happening inside that facility behind us, bringing attention, lifting up the voices of the family of those who are being abducted here in the Chicagoland area, lifting up the voices of these protesters and their grievances with this federal government that is occupying their communities right now, disappearing people off the streets. We've been doing it for a month here on the ground. We don't parachute in and parachute out. We stay. We continue to tell these stories. We dig and dig until we get to the heart of the issue. And doing what we do here is not cheap. I think Jordan just said on a video the other day that, we've spent $10,000 to be here in Chicago, to keep me and John here on the ground, pay our team, be able to afford places to stay, be able to afford food for ourselves. All of that is expensive work. So if you want to support us, please go to statuscoup.com/join. $5 a month is all it takes, and it makes us eternally grateful for your support. And if you're getting any value out of this, being able to give us $5 back, I think is a fair trade. We give you weeks and weeks of our lives here on the ground telling these stories. $5 a month to pay us back, 16 cents a day, helps keep us here on the ground to show you what is happening after all that national media attention leaves. It was here in Chicago for a couple of days, and then it left. But these communities continue to suffer. We followed an ICE convoy just the other day and showed them arresting someone for impeding, though wouldn't give evidence as to what that was or offer an explanation as to how that person was impeding. We're not afraid to put ourselves that close to the action to show you what is actually happening on the ground. So that way corporate press, which tends to downplay a lot of the pain in these communities, and outright right-wing propaganda outlets, we want to show you what it's really like here. So that $5 goes to actually showing you through an independent voice, because we are only beholden to you, our audience, when you give like that. We don't take advertising dollars. We're not supported in those ways. We support ourselves through the journalism we do and the understanding with you that this is all for you. So if you are a member, thank you. If you're not yet, statuscoup.com/join. And if you're not able to afford it right now, then get subscribed to us, because we put out videos. We go live all the time. We're putting out videos from all of our reporting here on the ground. So you can get all those future lives as soon as we go live. You'll get a notification. And then also like and share this stream to help spread us to more folks. Tell the algorithm to boost us to more people, because it is so important that at least some independent voices in the media ecosystem break through that corporate wall that has a control over so much of our press right now. Yeah, we're going to go across the street and talk to some of the protesters who are out there in the crowd. Yeah. So John is pointing out recent developments. You see that? John is pointing out that there was an aid tent. One of the recent developments is that the aid tent that was out here to support these protests and to support the families of people who are being held inside the ICE detention facility. That aid tent, it did things like kind of basic stuff. It distributed water. It had things like saline solution on hand in case tear gas is deployed out here again, as we have seen in the past. John Farina got tear gassed, our cameraman, by ICE out here at this facility. It's got all of that kind of basic stuff to support the protesters, but also what it had were legal resources for people inside. Families would show up out here. You can see some of our dancing protesters here behind us. We've got one person in a frog costume. Many of these folks have told me that they are directly inspired by what is happening out in Portland. They feel it's important to put on these ridiculous costumes, one, because Halloween, but then two, because it shows that they are nonviolent and shows that any response of violence to what they are doing is inherently, goes to show that it can't be quite painted as both sides. In a lot of press coverage of these times when peaceful protesters are being brutalized, you will see that they're often described as clashes, as if both sides attacked each other simultaneously, when in reality that's not what's happening. So these costumes offer a little bit of protection for these protesters in the form of they know that it's a bad look for the federal agents, for police, to brutalize them when they're in these outfits, because they do not look threatening and they cannot be painted as such. But yes, there used to be an aid tent here at the end of this block, or about midway down this block, that provided legal resources, because families of people who had been snatched up by the federal government would come out here hoping to visit this building and find out if their loved one was inside. And when they would show up, usually what happens is the police turn them away and tell them to go look on ICE's database online. And so they didn't have, those folks would just be kind of left listless, not sure where their loved one is, or how to find them, or even what recourse they had to support their loved ones. So this aid tent out here also provided those legal resources for people. But the village of Broadview cited a camping ordinance and had that torn down just yesterday. And you can see our full coverage of that coming out here on our YouTube channel. So again, another reason to get subscribed. But let's actually head into the protests here and hear from a couple of protesters. Oh yeah, let's go talk to the frog. John always has the best idea of who to talk to. Howdy, folks.
Howdy.
I'm a reporter. I'm out here with Status Coup, we're an online independent progressive outlet.
Yeah.
I wanted to maybe interview you guys about, one, why you wanted to be out here, two, the message you're hoping to deliver, and three, why the costumes and, their significance.
Sure, I can put it back on.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind. Sorry, it looks like you were just about to get some relief, and I can see the condensation on the inside.
Yeah, the varying temperatures are tough. The varying temperatures are tough.
Meaning the varying temperature inside the suit versus out.
Absolutely.
So, I'll just key everybody in. It is cold out here this morning. It's a chilly Chicago morning here in the Midwest. Yeah. So if I could just start by getting some names, or at least how you would like to be identified here.
My name is Loretta. This is my husband, Brett.
Loretta and Brett. So, Brett, I feel like we got to start with you because you bear a striking resemblance to the Portland Toad who has gone viral in recent weeks. Are you the Portland Toad?
No, I am not the Portland Toad. I love his message. I think that it's such a great way to derail some of the narrative from this administration that is, pretty consistently demonizing progressives, saying that we're the violent left. And I think that it's pretty absurd to say that I came here for violence when I have almost no visibility. My little screen is steaming over. No pockets. That's a big thing. And, I'm really just here to dance and tell the government that fascism is not okay, authoritarianism is not okay, this is a democracy. And so we, the people, are showing up, and I think that that's a great message.
Most importantly, to protest peacefully as what we're all trying to do.
And how close are you folks? Like how I know it for a lot of people, it's kind of difficult to get out here. I mean, is it planes, trains, and automobiles for you guys, or how close do you live?
We're lucky enough we have a vehicle, so we're able to drive, but we live in the city.
In the city, okay. So yeah, you gotta come a little ways, but not too far. But the reason I ask that is why be here? It'd be one thing if it was like we live a block over and we just walked here because it's convenient for us. You do have to make a conscious choice to come out here. Why be out here, and why be out here this morning?
So I think largely there are two kind of front lines for the protests in the country right now that are like the most publicized, and that would be Portland, Oregon, and right here at Broadview. So I thought that this is a great chance to come out and really support the community. And I thought that this is such a great area to come to as well, because this is where people are gathering. So we don't check anything. We've just showed up a few times here, and we're here to protest. We're here to make sure that immigrants are treated well. We want people to be treated well. We think due process rights are very important.
Absolutely. What he said.
What he said. Fair enough. Well, then the next question I'll start by directing to you. President Donald Trump, you referenced this as like a front line in the fight against authoritarianism here in the United States. This in Portland, Oregon, it's certainly why we've been here for the last month reporting out here, is because we see the same thing. When you see that and you hear the president continuing to intimate that he wants to put troops on the ground here in the Chicagoland area, just give me your first reactions. Do you feel like that is necessary, or do you feel like it is an infringement on your liberties, and if so, how?
I definitely feel like it's not necessary. I've told, multiple people a few times that I felt totally safe in my city until the president sent, people to our streets to kidnap our neighbors, to kidnap our communities, our family, our friends. So no, I do not think it's necessary at all for him to send military here, for ICE to be taking people. Again, I reiterate that I have felt super safe in my city up until this administration started, sending people here.
The protests themselves have been limited to smaller and smaller areas, and as a result, we've seen the protesting here kind of dwindle down a little bit. But today it picks back up. y'all are part of that. I'm just curious, was there an animating factor that made today the day? I mean, is the holiday playing into it at all for you folks? Or like, why was this Friday morning, why is now the time where you need to be out here?
For us, to be completely honest, it just worked out for our schedules, for work-wise and schedules. It just happened to be a morning we both had off of work. I personally have not been out here yet. Brett has been out here a few times, but I wanted to come out here and support as well. So it just happened to be, it worked with our schedules, and we were happy to show up, and there was already quite a few people here when we got here.
Brett, I want to ask, you're both saying like, oh, this is when it was convenient, this is when we could be out here. That's a phrase that I've heard many times. If it gets to the point where troops are here on the ground in Chicago, or, pick whatever red line it would be that the administration could cross, I guess, first of all, what is that line to get you to a point where you'd be willing to do things more that are more active, like maybe like participating in a general strike or something along those lines? Like, how far does it need to get before you say, I'm there, I'm willing to, actually endure some economic pain to inflict, some kind of pain on the administration?
I think that we're already experiencing economic pain. I think the mayor at the No Kings protest called for a general strike as well, and I agreed with it then. I think that if we want results, we have to put our money behind that. So like the big box corporations, we really need to be calling them out right now. We need to be hitting their bottom line because that's all they care about. So, yeah.
I would say, similarly, I am at that point right now. I agree with the general strike. I'm lucky enough to work for a small, privately owned company. That's really good to my employees, really good to me. I do not work for a big corporation. So, again, I'm very lucky to have that chance and opportunity. But let's say I did work for a big corporation, I would be actively participating in the general strike, which I believe is supposed to be starting on the 20-something of November. I've seen people post. So
yeah, there's certainly like more demonstrations planned and the like. You reference, we've talked here a little bit about economic pain. I'm curious if you're feeling any, because what I see out here, happening here in the Chicagoland area, is two things. First of all, this administration attempting to create justification for more use of force, not only here in Chicago, but across the country, deploying troops in more places. But then two, also a distraction from this administration's failures thus far. Trump runs on this idea of fixing the economy. And so far, all indications are that the economy has only gotten worse, especially in the last few months. I'm just curious, are either of you feeling that in your day-to-day lives? Are you feeling any economic pain, whether it be increasing prices in given areas, just anything with work? Like, just kind of give me like maybe an anecdote or two if you felt it at all.
So I work all over the city, and so I've noticed people are afraid to come out into the streets, so like immigrants, anybody that's not white is just feeling this pressure, since they're pulling people directly off the streets in our neighborhood. We've seen, fast action calls come out, and my wife here, Loretta, has gone out to, attempt to get involved in the situation there as well. Like, we are seeing people being pulled from the streets. We are seeing prices higher than they need to be. These tariffs are terrible for us. So, like, we're already experiencing the negative economic swing to this because of the violence that ICE is perpetrating on our communities here as well. They're making people afraid to go out into the streets, so then people are not going into work because they're afraid for their lives. They're afraid that they're going to get deported. They're afraid that they're going to be detained. Like 170 plus other U.S. citizens that have been detained, and Kristi Noem saying that no American citizens have been detained, and that's just shameful. So we're already experiencing that, the fallout from this. I think that that's going to spread to other communities, but like Chicago and Portland, since they're so publicized, since they're so demonized by this administration, I think that we're already, experiencing a lot of this.
Yeah.
Anything that you would add?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I have noticed, a lot of price increases at work with just basic supplies, cleaning supplies, office supplies. So definitely noticed, influx in prices and those things. And then to piggyback off of what Brett said, there's less people. I've noticed less people going out to restaurants to eat because, like he said, people are just afraid to go to school, afraid to go out to eat because you just have no idea what's going to happen.
Here in just the last hour or so, we've gotten a little bit of breaking news that I can share with all of you, which is that there was a class action lawsuit filed this morning about the conditions inside of this ICE detention facility. We don't have a lot of firsthand information yet as to what the conditions are like inside, but what we're hearing is that it's people standing 60 to a cell. They have to sleep standing up. We're hearing, things about the sanitary conditions and how appalling they are apparently inside, that folks are actually opting to self-deport rather than and just get rid of what little due process remains to them because the conditions are so bad. If it has to fall to a class action lawsuit, meaning it's people themselves suing the federal government to try and hold it accountable, is that enough for you, or do you want to see something from your local, state, federal leaders? Is there something to your mind that they could be doing in this moment to stand up about the conditions inside this building that you are here to protest today?
I think we just need to be constantly, shining a light on this. We need to be talking in, our everyday communities, speaking with the people around us. I think that this is something that needs to be addressed on every level of the government. We need to have a grassroots movement to push, these politicians forward on these matters, because this is an egregious thing that that's happening on our soil, that we are doing to people. And we, at the end of the day, the people are supposed to be deciding what is acceptable and what is not. And I think that mobilizing on every level is what's going to, be important in that action. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. And supporting the people in government that, you agree with, go out and vote, go out and support those people, help them in their offices, whatever you need to do to get the people in government that should be in government.
With Donald Trump kind of intimating that he wants to invoke the Insurrection Act, put troops on the streets, putting 2020 election deniers in key positions within the federal government as it relates to things like election security and integrity, do you remain convinced or confident that you will still have that voice in 2026 and 2028 through your vote?
Right now we have to hang on to as much hope as we possibly can. So as of now, we of course hope that will still be an option, and we just have to, like Brett said, we have to, on every level, starting from the nobodies at the bottom, the people, all the way up to the top of the government. Everybody that has a voice just has to use their voice, push for what's right.
I think things are looking pretty bleak right now. Just kind of looking at how this administration is not bowing to any sort of checks and balances. So I think that this is a one step at a time scenario. We just need to be, focusing on what can we do right now? How can we impact this moment? And, regardless of what happens, we have to do what we can in this moment to try and, persuade a favorable outcome for democracy as a whole, because democracy is very much in jeopardy right now.
Absolutely.
Thank you both very much. Is there anything else you want to add?
Ice off our streets.
Yeah. Ice off our streets, away from our neighbors, away from our friends, away from my team, my community.
Thank you both very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
I want to get to you in just a second, but would you mind holding for me for just a moment? Yeah, okay. So we've just wanted to reset for folks a little bit. So we are outside of the Broadview ICE detention facility here in Broadview, Illinois, where the protests have picked up again here outside the building. We've had more than 100 people out here for well over an hour now, out here demonstrating, people out here in costumes. It is Halloween, of course. And to that end, it being Halloween, I want to note that J.B. Pritzker, the governor here in Illinois, directly asked the Trump administration to just put a pause on their immigration tactics here in the Chicagoland area for a day to allow families to go out trick-or-treating without the threat of being tear-gassed in their neighborhoods or people being shot on their streets. And this is not, this is what we have seen repeatedly here in the Chicagoland area. 2 people have been shot by ICE, or by federal agents. 1 was killed. Tear gas has been deployed in a number of neighborhoods. We brought you coverage of a baby that was tear gassed on the east side. So this is stuff that is happening here on the streets. But in response to the governor's request, Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem said that, if anything, the administration will ramp up its immigration enforcement here in Chicagoland today. So after we are done going live here, John and I will be going across the city trying to see what is actually happening there on the ground. We'll be doing real shoe leather journalism there, out there walking around, hearing from parents, taking their kids trick-or-treating about, or if there even are, under the pall of what this administration is doing here in the Chicagoland area. So if that kind of journalism and what we're doing out here is important to you, please, statuscoup.com/join, $5 a month. I'll point out that there is no other outlet, we're standing right on the side of a busy street. There is no other outlet that has been on the ground here for the past month like we have, just out here day in, day out, showing you what it is actually like here in Chicago, documenting everything, not afraid to get close to the action here and show you how this government is actually conducting itself. There is a little bit of news that I want to give you. So, and I've referenced it a couple of times here on the stream, which is that class action lawsuit that that was filed this morning, challenging the conditions inside of the Broadview ICE detention facility, which is just a block down that way. That these protesters are here to protest today. This is the reporting from the Chicago Tribune, I believe. An emergency class action lawsuit on behalf of individuals who are being detained or who are being denied their right to access counsel and subject to inhuman and unlawful actions while at the Broadview ICE facility was filed today in federal court in Chicago. The lawsuit was filed by MacArthur Justice Center, the ACLU of Illinois, and the Chicago office of Amir Stahl represent those who have been detained. The lead counsel for the plaintiff says, quote, everyone, no matter of their legal status, has the right to access counsel and to not be subject to horrific and inhuman conditions. Community members are being kidnapped off the streets, packed in holding cells, denied food, medical care, and basic necessities. Denied food, denied medical care. I mean, denied sunlight in a lot of cases because the windows on that building are boarded up. And from what we hear, people are just being held in cells. The lawsuit claims ICE agents at Broadview deny detainees confidential private cells to attorneys and deny detainees sufficient food, water, hygiene, and medical care. And now this is some of the first-hand information that we are getting here. This being from lawyers for folks who have been detained at this facility. Because everything that we've heard so far, a lot of it has been coming secondhand through family members of people who are detained there, or coming from like representatives, elected officials who are hearing from constituents who are being held inside this facility. So getting this kind of peeling back the curtain as to what it's like in there, one, it checks a lot of boxes. It matches reporting as to what we've seen in other ICE detention facilities in Alligator Alcatraz, for instance, down in Florida and in New Jersey as well. So it matching a lot of the same reports that we have heard out of those. So yeah, again, they are denying detainees sufficient food, water, hygiene, and medical care. The lawsuit further claims that Broadview ICE agents have treated detainees abhorrently, depriving them of sleep, privacy, menstrual products, and the ability to shower. They further claim that ICE agents have repeatedly denied entry for attorneys, members of Congress, and religious and faith leaders. We've seen a lot of those denials of access firsthand out here at the facility, just watching people approach day in and day out. I mean, that's the kind of, like, we've been showing you that as it's been happening here on the ground. It happened again today, a man attempting to gain access there to the facility, going up to police, showing them what he wants to bring to the facility and actually take inside. Broadview has become a black box. As a result, federal agents are acting with impunity. They are coercing detainees to sign paperwork that they do not understand, leading people to unknowingly relinquish their rights to challenge removal and seek release. So this is this lawsuit that was just filed this morning and some of the claims that it is making per the Chicago Tribune there. And that is why these protesters are out here. A lot of these protests have been directed at state police, local police, because that is who is interceding to stop the protesters from getting any closer to the building than they have. The protesters had been right outside protesting out there, and it had been ICE agents who themselves were forced to do crowd control. But now the police have taken over that role, frustrating these protesters who feel like they could not directly protest the folks that they wanted to protest, and now this lawsuit bringing that voice directly back here. So let's go over and talk to some more of these protesters out here. Hey there, man. Can I grab you now?
Yeah, you sure can.
What's your name?
Well, I proposed something for you all.
Yeah.
I know that you're trying to account for the sun. What if we shot it from over there, so then you have the protest in the backdrop?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, we're fine right here. Yeah, man. We'll be all right.
All right, cool.
Yeah. What's your name?
Ricky Hendon Jr.
Ricky. Can you spell that for us, quick?
RickeyHendon.
Lovely. Thank you very much. So first I want to address the costume. You are dressed as, it looks like, Ricky Bobby from the Ballad of Ricky Bobby, Talladega Nights.
You got it.
So first of all, to what degree is this a Halloween costume, or to what degree is this about showing, illustrating the non-violence?
I mean, it's a little bit of both. Obviously, it is Halloween today. But on the second piece there, like you said, there's been this depiction that the people out here are violent protesters, and obviously that's could not be further from the truth if you guys have gotten footage today. So that's the other piece of it.
Okay, so why'd you pick this outfit? Was there any symbolism here that you were trying to go for, or was this just this is what I was going to be wearing for Halloween?
I'll let that truck kind of pass us here for a moment. But I think there is some symbolism. Ricky Bobby's a real American patriot, right? You can't be a patriot and only love half the country. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I think there's a little bit of that, with it too.
To what degree do you feel like this administration only loves half the country?
Well, I mean, when Trump says at Charlie Kirk's memorial that he literally hates the other side, I mean, I think that's pretty clear.
So, what was the message that you came out here to deliver today, and why did you feel the need to be here today?
Sure. Well, it's Halloween, and as we know, the ICE agents here in Chicago have been going to schools and snatching children from schools on Halloween. Like, we're experiencing moral collapse in America right now. The fact that people are okay with that and they think that's acceptable regardless of what their immigration status is. And so I wanted to come out here to talk about that, obviously protest the administration, make sure people are aware of the conditions inside of that facility, and just hopefully we can find our way back to a sense of moral clarity.
To your point about it, Halloween, a federal agent snatching kids, today will be trick-or-treat.
Yeah.
The governor directly asked the Department of Homeland Security to suspend its operations here in Chicago for at least just the day to allow families to be out trick-or-treating. And Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem came out and said that if anything, they would be increasing their operations. What are your feelings as a result?
There's a lot of anger for that. I mean, I know growing up as a kid, and I mean, shoot, I'm still dressed in a Halloween costume, right? This is an important day for a lot of people to be able to be themselves and work with their community and have a good time. And so I think their messaging on this just really shows how much the cruelty is the point, right? Deportations are not new in America, okay? Everyone's done them. But the methods that we've seen from the Trump administration, chasing people down the streets like they're animals. Like in the facility just over there, you have people sleeping, standing up, not getting water, not getting their medication, not getting food, being there when they're supposed to be there for a couple hours, but days or weeks on end. It just shows that the cruelty is the point. And so this is just another reminder that even on Halloween, they can't take a day off to let those children go and enjoy this one holiday.
The Department of Homeland Security is going to increase its operations here in the Chicagoland area. They cannot give folks the day to take their kids out trick-or-treating to enjoy even a moment's respite from the terror that has been carried out here in Chicago. The Trump administration has said that this operation is about public safety. Do you feel safer with federal agents on your streets?
All right, this is a big point I want to make, okay? So they've made it very clear that they're not just targeting criminals, right? And anybody that's worked in law enforcement knows that you need informants within the community to find the actual criminals. So what they're doing is actually making us as a country less safe when you're going after the little grandmother and she's somebody that can actually help you figure out who the actual gang members are in the community. So this is making us significantly less safe.
Yeah, and it's that theme of safety that we're going to be watching today, because after we're done here, as I said earlier, we'll be going out into some of these communities to actually talk to parents taking their kids trick-or-treating about how they're feeling in this moment. So be tuned for that report from us as well. Okay, so the President Donald Trump has started to intimate that he is open, at least, to the idea of serving a third term unconstitutionally. When you hear that, and you might now need to start talking about resistance here in Chicago, not in terms of, I get a lot of people are taking it day by day right now, but you might need to start thinking in terms of years. So what goes through your mind when you hear the president say that he is open to serving a third term, and how does it change your reactions as a protester?
Well, he wouldn't have had a second term if people showed up to vote. 30-40% of the country doesn't vote. So ultimately where my mind is at is, how do we organize? How do we get people to understand how important it is for them to show up and exercise that right? Because if we do that, and if we are able to protect legal and fair elections, then he's not going to get back into power. And quite frankly, we can stop a lot of this in 2026, right? So as long as people get up, organize, not just yourself, but your community to vote, we should be able to get through this, as long as we can make it through this next year.
Are you confident that you're going to be able to vote in 2026 and 2028, given some of the actions that the Trump administration has taken, like trying to put troops on the ground in cities, talking about invoking the Insurrection Act, putting 2020 election deniers in positions of power?
Well, if I were them, I wouldn't be so confident about putting troops in the cities, working out for them. The American veterans and patriots that serve our country, the men and women in uniform, they are not going to use their weapons to intimidate American voters. They're just not. I think that they think that they're just their lapdogs and they're going to do whatever they want, but they're not going to follow unconstitutional orders. Those men and women know the oath that they swear, and so that's going to backfire if they do that. I am 100% sure of that. As far as going to the first part of your question, whether or not we'll have free elections, that's going to be up to the people watching this interview in terms of what you do. Right? Are you going to make sure that your local election board is doing things fair? Well, if you're not sure, go find out. You can participate. So that's what that comes down to. As long as we're active and we're engaged, we'll be fine. If we're not, we're done.
So, are you saying there that we'll be done? I mean, that's a pretty stark call to action. I mean, I've been asking folks here, heard the word authoritarian, Nazi be thrown around. Do you feel like that's where this administration is right now? Are we already there, or are we just on the slope to there? Are we not even there? How do you characterize what this administration is?
We know it's so funny. This news cycle just goes so fast that it's easy to forget what just happened in January, on January 20th, on Inauguration Day. You saw the most powerful man in the world throw up a Nazi salute twice. So I'm not going to say it, but J.D. Vance said it. He's the one that called Trump a Nazi first, right? So if they're saying it, they're the ones throwing up those salutes, those gestures. Well, then if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, might be a duck.
You also just seem exuding this confidence, especially about that the military wouldn't necessarily follow orders to intimidate Americans on city streets. What gives you that confidence?
Because I'm American, baby. It's that simple. I mean, obviously, we've had a lot of moments in our country. I'm an African American. I'm black. My ancestors were enslaved. I was talking with my dad just yesterday about how he grew up picking cotton. You know what I mean? This is not a far removed reality, certainly for my people. My dad is, 72 now. He lived through the civil rights movement. This isn't that far off. So America's had a lot of dark times, but we've come through it. And so we'll do it again if people get involved and start locally. It can feel like a lot to see everything that's happening federally and feel like you can't control everything. But remember, all of our elections are held locally in our country. And so if people do their job and get involved locally, we'll be fine.
Just this morning, there was a class action lawsuit that was filed by detainees here at the Broadview facility about the conditions inside. I'm assuming you haven't had the chance to read a legal filing that was made this morning when you were out here. So I'll give you some of the highlights, which is that, adequate care not being given to folks in terms of, there's ICE agents are using tactics like sleep deprivation, getting them to sign documents that waive some of their rights without those folks being able to necessarily understand those documents, depriving people of access to food, basic medical care, that sort of thing. When you're hearing about some of these things that I am listing off for you right now, I mean, how much of this is surprising to you? I mean, to what degree was the conditions inside a reason for your protest?
Yeah, so it's not surprising to me at all because I've been coming here for weeks now, and there have been people that have been abducted inside of that facility. So when they got out, they told us what the conditions were like. Obviously, they weren't able to see everything, but they saw into some of the rooms, they saw how crowded they were, and they heard about some of the things that were going on. So it's not surprising to me at all. And again, the cruelty is the point. And so ultimately, again, we're out here to hopefully get that facility shut down. And if not, at the very least, get people inspired enough to go out again to vote and to organize locally.
Yeah, you're already hinting there at some of the, my last question here, which is going to be, what does justice look like for this moment in American history? In American history, we're being ushered off the street a little bit by police.
Sure.
So what does justice look like? You're talking about shutting down this facility. What else do you need to see to feel like justice is done for the city of Chicago?
So shutting down the facility, I think, is a very key point. Obviously, we know about what the conditions are like in there, and this class action lawsuit is going to have, discovery, and we're going to learn a lot more, right? But ultimately, what we need is for the country to get back to making sure that we're focused on the violent criminals who are here undocumented, okay? This is a country of immigrants, right? Our diversity is the one thing that we got compared to the rest of the world. I've traveled. I've been to 5 continents. I've been to almost 20 countries. We don't got the most people. We don't got the most land. We don't got the most resources. Our diversity is what makes us strong. And it's not just people who are black, white, Asian. When you look back and you look at the point in America where we really turned a corner, it's when you also had Italian immigrants come here, French immigrants come here, you had Irish immigrants come here. You had all these people come here and bring their ideas and bring their culture together and work together and bring an intellectual revolution, which allowed us to become the United States of America, right? So for me, I want us as a country to get back to the point where we value the contributions of immigrants and not demonize people. And I don't know, maybe go pick up kids from school on Halloween because they're brown. That's just insane to me.
Anything else you want to add?
No, thank you all for your work. Stay active, get out, vote, and get your friends and family to do it. And then we'll be fine.
Thanks very much, man. I appreciate it.
All right. You got it, brother. Thank you. I appreciate you all.
Thanks for the time.
All right. I hadn't heard of you. Status Coup.
Yeah, look us up.
I'll give you a follow. Thanks, guys.
Bob did have a few words he would like to say.
Yeah.
Until next time, everybody.
Yeah.
Until next time.
We're here with Bob. Bob, we've talked to you at these protests. You've been a kind of a staple out here, and folks have connected with you in the past for wearing your emotion on your sleeve. You said that there were some words that you wanted to share with folks.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, these detentions, dragging ladies out of cars in front of their kids, all that stuff, it makes me very emotional. So not right now because I talk about it, but yeah, we're peaceful. The song here says to ICE, these are people and you're people too, and they're kind of implying that they're good people. But they're messed up people. I feel bad for them. And, yeah, that's that part. I hope that they can learn. I hope this changes, but it's not going to change anytime soon. Last year, Russell Vogt started saying that this was a takeover. I don't know if he used revolution or coup. And he said, it'll be peaceful if the resistance doesn't. It'll be peaceful without unless the resistance challenges them. Okay. Well, the resistance is peaceful. If there's any violence, it's them, and they've been planning this for I don't know how many years. They're not going to stop. You were asking that guy about Trump running for office. Well, he might not make it that long, but somebody will. And as far as the election goes, the noise. As far as the election goes, they get away with all this. We can't even get in there with our senators to do oversight. God knows what's going to happen with the election. I hope there will be a peaceful and fair election, but the way things are going, they have too much power now, and so I hope it stops. I hope this grows, but it's got to grow quick. They stopped the tanks in the Philippines when Marcos was with their bodies. They stopped the tanks with their bodies. We were getting in front of the cars of ICE, and now they indicted the lady, I forgot her name, but who's running for Congress.
Yeah, Kat Abu-Ghazaleh.
Yeah. And she made a really great statement about that. She's not backing down. She had her rights. We have a right to try to stop them. So, I hope they win.
Bob, this morning there was a class action lawsuit that was filed against the federal government here in federal court in Chicago by some of the detainees who have been held here at the Broadview facility. They allege conditions like ICE agents depriving people of sleep, not providing enough food to people, crowded conditions, lack of access to medical care, and similar. When you're hearing, or like making people sign away their rights when they don't understand the documents that they're signing, when you hear that that's the tactics that are being deployed here inside this facility, I'm just curious, like as a human being, how does it make you feel?
Well, it makes me feel sick, but I'm not surprised because, like I said about the election, they don't care. If they were concerned about anything, they wouldn't be doing that kind of stuff. It doesn't make them popular. So it just chills my spine that they're doing it anyway, and they don't think we can do anything about it. Yeah.
You say like you've talked about like the need for elections, for change here. I'm curious, like you have been a fixture out here. Like I've seen you at these protests time and again. You clearly have the energy to keep going here. But how much more? Like if the Trump administration puts troops on the ground or continues this big push that it's been doing here, I mean, in terms of like a lot of it we've been handling day to day, but when you start to think about years into the future, like do you have the energy to keep up this resistance that you have up here? And if so, where does the energy come from?
Well, that's all there is. And now I'm getting emotional again. I mean, this universe was made for us to be ourselves in, and they can't take that away, So we might die before it gets any better, but we can't stop, It's
Do you see it as like a generational struggle towards justice? Is that what you're referencing there with like the we might die, like you have to pass the torch to like the kids to continue on the fight? Is that what you're meaning by that?
Yeah, that's part of it. But this thing is so dystopian. I mean, they have plans, I believe. They talk about it with, I forgot his name, but they talk about setting up these techno cities where they're going to govern us from. In the meantime, the Earth's being destroyed. There might not be much of a next generation. They are intentionally, I believe, and they say it, they're intentionally destroying the Earth because it makes them run to them for whatever we can get from them, So I hope that doesn't all come to pass, but I see it. I see what they're doing, and yeah.
Do you when you're like laying out this creating more reliance on, it seems like you're setting up kind of like a haves and have-nots kind of like framing there, right? Like the haves kind of trying to create a world in which the have-nots have to look to them for even more and more like control. Really seems to be the general theme here. What's the way out? Like how do you see inverting that? Clearly you must have hope some way because you're still out here. You wouldn't be out here if you didn't have hope. So where do you see like the solution coming from?
We got to do what they did in the Philippines, get in front of them like they did in front of the tanks. We just got to do it. Now, this last guy before me, I talked to him. He was talking about that we can't get into the facilitator. Did he talk about that here, about getting in?
No, we didn't talk about that.
You said he would. So he said that, Pritzker is very articulate. He should come out here with other politicians, press conference, demand to go in. We have a right, the senators have a right to go in. We just take their badge numbers down, get their names, say we're going to prosecute you. Yeah. So,
Bob, anything else you want to add?
no, I think I've said about it all. You guys are doing, you guys, I watch you all the time. You're out here every day, everywhere. You guys are real heroes. So, thanks.
Thank you very much, Bob. You're going to make me blush. I appreciate it, though. If you do appreciate the work that we are doing, statuscoup.com/join, because to be everywhere, the way Bob has recognized that we have tried to be here in Chicago over the last month, it costs us a lot of money. So statuscoup.com/join. It only costs you $5. So if you go to statuscoup.com/join, $5 a month goes to support the work that we are doing, because there is no one else who is staying on the ground here in Chicago the way we are. No national outlet is doing what we are doing right now, and we're doing it as a small team, and we're able to cover a lot with that small team. So we stretch your dollar to make it go as far as we can. statuscoup.com/join. $5 can help make a real difference, get the word out about what is happening here in Chicago. Bob, thank you very much for your time.
They're telling our story like no one else does. So I'm joining, and you guys got to join too. So.
Thank you very much, Bob. I appreciate it. Appreciate that. So the protests have started to cool down out here. We'll kind of walk out into the crowd just a little bit. You can start to see it thinning out here. But again, just joining us, this is Broadview, Illinois, outside of the Broadview, Illinois ICE detention facility. I've heard, we interviewed one activist out here who called it a public black site, which I just think is such an apt description for what this facility is. Before that, I had just been calling it a facility because they use it for so many different things. But yeah, this is where all the folks who are taken, snatched off the streets of Chicago, disappeared, a lot of them are coming here to this building that has, just a simple brick construction, boarded up windows, the black tarps over the fence, the black tarps over the fence that obscure what is happening inside. But we're now getting our first indications of what is happening inside through a class action lawsuit that was filed just this morning.
It's just me. Come talk to me. Come on, I know you see me. I know you do. Come talk. Come talk to me.
Ma'am.
Come talk. Just talk to me. Just come talk to me.
Ma'am. Could I interview you about what the message you're trying to deliver out here? Yeah. Could I have you start just by say and spell your name for me?
Marie. My name is Marie. Marie.
And Marie, we were walking over here to get a shot of the building, and you were kind of caught my attention because you were waving your arms, saying, "Come talk to me, come talk to me." It seemed like at some of the police officers or state troopers out there.
I know they see me. I can see them look up. I know they see me, but
Why do you want them to come over and talk to you? What's the message you want to deliver?
I just want to say, what are you thinking? What are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Meaning, why are you defending the facility?
Right. It's like, is this just your job? You're just doing your job, or do you really believe in this? Do you believe what they're doing is right? So I want, I don't know if they'd ever tell me that, but I just want to know, see if they would tell me, why are they here? Why do they show up every day? Is it just, I have to? My job says I have to. I know a lot of people who have jobs and don't come in. They're like, no, I'm not coming today. I don't feel good, or something like that. I just want to know why these people show up every day, why they do what they do. I was thinking if I could just talk with one of them, like old enough to be their grandma. It's like, how does your mom know you're doing this? I mean, I know this sounds so crazy, It's like, does your mom know you're doing this? Does she think, what have I done wrong? What did I do wrong with you to raise you, to do you something like this, and that you think this is acceptable? You know, I know I'll never be able to say that. You know, I'll never get close enough to them, but I want to. I want to know what happened. What happened to them that makes them think this is right? You know, is it just their job, or do they really feel it?
So what, you know, you're saying, like, it's almost like this sense of, like, hopeful futility is what I'm getting off of you. Like, you feel like you want to be out here, you want to deliver this message, they're not listening, and you know that you won't be able to tell them directly. Why do you feel it's important to be out here?
Well, you know, I'm hoping that one of them will actually come close enough where I'll be able to say, what are you doing? You know, that kind of thing. But maybe it's some for me. Like, you know, I just have to try. I have to try it, you know. And I don't know. I just, you know, they're way over there. It's like, we're so way over here, you know. How can we be such a threat? How come they can't come talk to me, you know? I'm just right here. They don't have to talk to anybody else, you know. And I don't know if they came up, they'd be swarmed or something like that. I don't know. But I just want to know if they think this is okay. You know, if it's just a job, or if they really think this is okay, and why.
I mean, I get the sense from you. I mean, you're standing here protesting. Like, I'm not going to ask you how you feel about it. You're clearly, like, you know, you're clearly very against what is happening inside that facility. But can you maybe, like, characterize some of your emotions that you feel when you see folks being snatched off the streets here in Chicago, disappeared inside this facility? What are you feeling? What are you thinking right now?
Oh my gosh, it's like an alternative reality. It's like, how can this happen in the United States? I mean, you know, I obviously lived my whole life here. I never, ever thought that we would get to this point where people would just be grabbed off the street. I mean, why do people think this is okay? Next, it's going to be you. Next, it's going to be me. You know, this is going to become so normalized that it will be okay. You know, and if you don't have the right political, you know, voice, or you don't have the right political something, maybe they'll grab you. And maybe you'll disappear. So I just don't want this to be normalized. I don't want it to be acceptable. You know, it makes me angry that, I mean, everybody here is obviously too. We don't want this, but it makes me angry that people are just accepting it. You know, like it's okay. It's not okay. And why do they think that it'll stop with just the immigrants? You know, what are they thinking?
Yeah. So, I mean, so many folks that we have heard from here on the ground are saying, I have to stand up, either one, for the folks who can't be here protesting, or two, because it might be me next. That's the fear here on the ground of Chicago, is that if I don't speak up now, I could be the next one snatched by the federal government. I could be the next one abducted. I could be the next one disappeared inside this facility where just today a class action lawsuit was filed by some of the detainees inside, and some of the conditions that they allege inside are pretty abhorrent and inhuman. We're talking about lack of access to basic medical care, lack of access to food, lack of access to attorneys or places for them to really privately discuss matters with their attorneys, folks being coerced into signing documents that they don't understand. When you hear that is some of the conditions inside here, some of these inhuman conditions, what are you feeling to know that it is just, I don't know, 100 feet from where we're standing now?
It's crazy. I mean, if I had my way, and this is crazy, I would storm the place. I would storm them. You know, break open the door, get rid of the ICE agents. This is crazy, okay? And let these people out. What is this country now that they can do that? They can shove 100 people in a 10 by 10 room, and it's okay. And I can't wrap my head around it. I can't. It makes me so angry. It makes me so. What gives me this entire surreal feeling, like, how can this happen? How, you know? And we're, you know, I wanted to ask them too, how can you do this to a human? I'm not so much even saying an immigrant. I mean, you're talking about human beings. They're just like you, you know? They're just like you. They're human. How can you rough them up, pull them in, beat them up, put them in a place like that where they can barely sit down? You know, these are humans. Well, I mean, I don't know. It's almost beyond comprehension. You know, I just feel like we have got to, as a nation, we have got to get a hold of this before it all just slips away. Because
What would all of it slipping away look like?
Oh, well, I mean, it's halfway there. Trump is, his authoritarian dictator like demeanor. I mean, it's already there. Look at the Congress. Look at the Republicans. I mean, they're just going along with them. It's just like this. You can just watch the slide. I wish the Democrats could do more, but when you're not a majority, there's not a whole lot you can do. So I just see the slipping down into an authoritarian state where, everything is mandated. You toe the line. If you don't, you disappear. Everything is set up for you. Your life is totally not yours anymore.
I mean, that future is horrifying that you describe, right? Just that inevitable slide into authoritarianism. Your future is not yours anymore. Total control from the federal government. How, in your mind, how do you avoid that future?
Well, we have to protest. We have to do what we can. I mean, as one person, it's really hard. You just have to show up. You have to scream and yell and just tell them it's not acceptable all the time, everywhere they go. Somebody needs to be there saying, this is not right, filming it. I'm keeping this. It's not right for you to do this. Everybody has to do it. And I don't understand why more people aren't. I mean, it's like, where are the people? I mean, okay, 50% of the country, if you believe that, voted for Trump. What about the other 50%? Why are they not here? Why are they not protesting? I mean, it's just totally unacceptable to live this kind of life, watch it go down, and I'm 65, and it's like I can see before the end of my life just being into, a lost America. I'm a lost America. It's just like any other place, Hungary, any other, Russia, any other dictatorial state. Yeah.
Clearly it's reached the point for you where you're out here protesting, you're saying these things, you're talking about fantasizing about being able to storm the building, throw open the doors, release people. That's where you're at, right?
I am. I know it's crazy. I know,
yeah.
But I just want to get in there. I want to be even bodily, active. I want to be in their face saying, what are you doing?
I mean, are you just looking for leadership in this moment, to be able to because obviously you're not going to do it by yourself. So what do you need to take that next step? Even if that next step is just going from protest to maybe boycotts and general strike, what do you need to see to go to that next level? Is it just leadership? Is it organizing? What are the next steps that you think that a resistance to this administration is lacking right now?
Well, we need some leadership. Okay, we need leadership. Somebody to take ownership of this craziness, and then organization. That should come down from the leadership, organization of groups. In the cities that are being overrun by National Guard and ICE, and then everywhere we need organizations. And I don't know. I mean. I don't even know the names of an organization. I don't know, resistance to dictators or so. I don't know. It could be anything, but you need to organize, go door to door, get people, involved, get them going. Because most people just watch TV. They're probably not even watching the stations that show this kind of stuff. So they don't know, they don't care. We got to get them out. I mean, I would go door to door. I would go. I live in Naperville, so it's not. They probably just not open their door. But I would go door to door and say, come on, you need to come. Hold on just a second. Hey, come talk. Come talk to me. Come on, come talk. It's just me, come on. Come talk. Come talk to me.
Is that what you're doing to every officer who passes by?
I'm trying, yeah. And I know they hear me. Oh, there's some down there. Maybe I need to go down there.
Well, I'll let you go to go do that. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
No, just that we have to get together. People have to get together because it's happening. It's happening before our eyes. And if we don't stop it, it's going to be gone. And I don't know how you don't get that back without some kind of revolution. Yeah. So we have to get together. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. Okay, so the protests here have really started to thin out, but we're expecting a lot more here over this coming weekend. We will be live again at least tomorrow. As I said, right after this, John and I are going into some of these neighborhoods around Chicago that have been some of the hardest hit by the federal raids in and around the Chicago area, and we're going to be talking to parents taking their kids out trick-or-treating about how they feel about the safety of their communities when there are masked agents in unmarked cars driving around, disappearing people off the streets. We'll be getting that perspective. We're not afraid to be on the ground and asking these questions where a lot of the national press is not doing it. So again, if you support what we're doing, please go to statuscoup.com/join. I got a text from our boss, Jordan Sheridan, as we were doing this live, who did confirm for me that we have spent $10,000 to stay on the ground here in Chicago over this last month. It is not cheap to do this work. So why you see a lot of corporate press, even though they have all of that corporate money backing, not doing this important work, content to report on things from the comfort of their offices and their studios that are many cities away, many states away from where we are actually on the ground hearing from people. It is not cheap. StatusCoup.com/join, $5 a month. Go to support the work that we are doing to lift up the voices of people in Chicago who are living underneath authoritarian rule right now in what many are describing as a test kitchen for authoritarian tactics that are being carried out across across the country. And some of it you're already seeing in cities like Portland, LA, DC. It's all starting here in Chicago. That's why we've been on the ground here for the last month. Please go to statuscoup.com/join so that we can continue to do this reporting for as long as we are able. This reporting trip and others. Thank you for letting me get on that soapbox there. Again, statuscoup.com/join. I want to just quick go over some of the news. Again, that there's been a filing in federal court this morning from detainees inside that facility, just here off to camera's right. Some of those detainees coming together in a class action lawsuit to sue the Trump administration over the conditions that are going on inside that facility. You see there with boards over its windows, black sheets over its fencing so you cannot see in, because allegedly what is happening inside is people are being denied basic medical care, being denied the ability, being deprived of sleep. Or sunlight, because those boards are over the windows. They're being held in cells, 60 to a cell, forced to sleep, standing up, forced to sign documents that they don't understand, giving away the few rights that remain to them after they are disappeared by the federal government. That's what's happening in this facility right now. That's what that lawsuit alleges, and we're continuing to bring attention to it here on the ground. But that is it for us here from Chicago for this morning. Again, we'll be live again tomorrow from some of the protests that are planned here across the city. There's a whole series of them planned for here in Broadview, and then some others elsewhere in the city. We'll be live tomorrow bringing you that coverage, and we'll also get subscribed if you're not, because we'll be bringing you some of those interviews that I've been talking about with parents in this community right now who have kids that are going to be taken trick-or-treating in communities where masked agents may be patrolling those streets, because the Secretary of Homeland Security has said that they are going to double down and, if anything, increase the operations that they are conducting here in Chicago today. So we're going to go to that reporting now. For now, in Broadview for Status Coup, I'm JT Siskowski. Thank you all.